Welcome to This Week in Habs Land. I am Jordan and he is Brian, and we are here after the Habs drop Game 4 to the Tampa Bay Lightning series, even 2-2, couple days off before Game 5. Very interesting game, Brian. Very, I think, emotionally draining game, we can say. What are your first thoughts? I mean, the game ended 7 minutes ago. What are your first thoughts?
First thoughts, this sucks. This is a hard one. The first multi-goal lead of the series that was actually a lead for a decent amount of time. It's a decent amount of time. It was within the period, but still, that felt like an eternity to have a 2-goal lead in this series. Initial thought, look, I'll spin it positive as I always try to do. With a series this close in almost every single way, it would feel like a cheat almost if either team were to go up 3-1. So there's that. In terms of like, for the good of hockey, you could say it's cool that this is doing the distance because of how close everything's been. I don't love the way that the Canadiens lost this game. You're smiling. I'm trying to spin this positive, but I just feel like a bag of shit. This sucks real awfully.
Bless you, Brian, for doing your absolute best here. This Atlas carrying the world of positivity right now. That it's just going to be raining down. Not necessarily pessimism, although I'm sure there's that. There's going to be a lot of frustration. And there's a lot of stuff that people are going to want to get into. We can get into the referees. Look, they screwed up the Kapanen call. Point blank period, and that leads to 2-2. Blitz Park, like no one's in it, even Tampa, they're just going to smirk and move on. Here's where I am most disappointed. Well, there's the more team-based one, but you got such a good Nick Suzuki game.
Yeah.
So he was friggin' everywhere, man. This is the most physical I've seen Nick Suzuki in a long time. And I mean, it's him holding the puck that gets the 2-0 goal at one point. He has a huge back check that leads into a hit while they're on a power play, or maybe they were killing a penalty. Regardless, he had a lot of hits. He had 4 block shots in this game. He was playing a lot more on the penalty kill, 2.5 minutes tonight. 22 minutes, one of his best nights again. Very similar to game 1, the face-off circle. 14-6 for 70%. And honestly, at 5-on-5, this was probably Tampa's best game at 5-on-5 for a variety of reasons. But I still thought the Suzuki line had its best run-in. A lot of sustained zone time, a lot of good chances created, led by Nick Suzuki. And that's where I'm kind of most disappointed. Like, they finally got, like, Suzuki elevated today. And it wasn't enough because, and this is like, it's so disappointing. This is the exact same thing that happened in Game 4 last year. Like, pound for pound. It's the same thing. Tom Wilson hits Alex Carrier. It flips the game. Habs get smoked. Here, and also, by the way, the Habs are leading Game 4 against Washington 2-1 going into the third period also. So there's some consistency there. What we have this time, it's a little bit different here, but we have the huge body check from Max Crozier on Uri Slafkovsky with about 2-3 minutes left in the
open ice, crushed him. He just dropped.
And the Habs just lost it. They were just rattled. There's no other way to put it. They take a penalty right away. It gets negated. And then
the slash on point from Matheson. Evans and Gooley were so good on that kill, thankfully. Yeah. And then Evans draws the penalty.
And it doesn't matter because I think it's Gensel gets in and Struble loses him. It's 2-1. Worst thing to happen to give up that goal. They barely hold on right before intermission. Dobes is kind of sprawling everywhere, not necessarily having a great play. Third period starts off not terribly. 30-second power play, kind of level things out. Then you get the phantom call, which is terrible. It's garbage. It sucks. We're all upset about it. But they called it. And then, I don't know. Matheson Carrier looked lost on the Hagel goal. It's 2-2. And look, I know that one single screw up by the referee is absolutely part of the story, but it doesn't change from that hit onwards. Tampa, I don't know. I saw the same team as last year where they were just like, they were shook. And that lost them the game. Again, 2 years in a row, they lose Game 4 on home ice because of an open ice body check on one of their guys.
And what's funny is the momentum had returned, quote unquote, when we saw Slafkovsky back. At least the energy in the room felt great. Slafkovsky's back at the beginning of the third period. First line starts on. Second line comes out next. It happened right away. Kapanen lost the draw. They come on a rush, and then the, whatever, in air quotes, high stick on James. what upset me more about that play, like, look, I've been told by a very trusted and loved listener of ours that we should not dwell on the refs just because it's pointless, and so I'll say this one thing: terrible, just terrible. Moving on, Kapanen lost body positioning on him, and that's what made it so that he had to lift his arms. Now, the stick didn't come into contact with the face, but it could have, and that was because you lost body positioning. So there's a lesson there, if nothing else. That Kucherov pass to Hagel for the tap-in, 3 Habs had sticks in that passing lane. None can break it up. And Matheson was the one in between that I think everybody's pointing the finger at. A lack of tightness there, and maybe you're right, man. Maybe that I didn't see it that way, that the tide completely shifted based on that hit, because he came back. So I was like, okay, no, we're back. We're fine. And like all throughout, Goulet was a monster. Slaf came back and broke up a play in the defensive zone like a shift or two later, got a clear, got a change. Like, he was back. So I don't know.
But like, I think it's kind of like game 2 where a lot of focus ended up being on the Doc icing, but there was a larger, like, there was the
tons
tide
of stuff leading up to that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think here too, the focus will actually be on the Kapanen high stick, where I find in reality that entire third period and those last few minutes of the second, Tampa took over. The Canadiens didn't respond. We can see it differently, but like, and look, there were moments. I think like the power play is going to get some interesting criticism tonight. They end up going 1 for 6, 1 for 7. I forget where it actually landed.
I think 1 for 6.
And they scored. Again, I mentioned earlier, great play by Nick Suzuki to find Caulfield. Caulfield's finally on the board here. Caulfield and McKinnon, by the way, both scored their first goals of the playoffs on the same day. Both of them waited till game 4. It's funny how that works. And yeah, it's there's going to be a lot of criticism of the 6-on-4 at the very end and not enough movement. I thought, honestly, I forget where exactly it landed. I'm sure I can pull it up. But how many shots they got off on that the power play is the 7 of them. I'm sure it's around 11 or 12, almost half their shots probably came on the power play. I thought at 5-on-5 they really struggled, other than some like consistent zone time from the first line. The power play to me looked quite well. Like, Andrei Vasilevskiy, again, very much like the 7th storyline of this series has been Vasilevsky's play, and I thought he was terrific today. And he was, especially early on, I think, kind of putting his foot down of, I mean, it was right after you have the Habs killed their first penalty. Dobes looks good. Then Tampa takes 2 back-to-back penalties, more or less. And Vasi's just saying, nope, not today. Yeah. So it's, I think, fair criticism to the power play as well. But Brian, did you think, like, I know we talked about it's going to be a special teams series. Has the volume of penalties kind of surprised you? The fact that every game there's 4, 5, 6 power plays for each team?
Very much. Very much. I thought there would have been less. They're all stick infractions.
Yeah.
Like, jinxes still aren't real, but I said on the last pod, like, jokingly, like, don't get a bunch of high sticks, and then whoopsie daisy, they get a few. There was some slashes, there was some hooks, there was a board, which is not a stick infraction, but those are the ones that are coming to mind right now. Like, the vast majority have been stick infractions. So, like, you call those, unless it's just a really soft can opener, which we have seen, or like little tiny things that the ref is calling anyway that you don't usually see in the postseason. Maybe they're moving towards trying to call the postseason more like the regular season, and I'm all for it. We've been ringing that bell for years. Everybody basically has. Like, be consistent. What I don't love is that they're consistently inconsistent, and the line is hard to find as it's been all year. So.
But also,
I don't know.
The Canadiens were undisciplined today. Like the Jake Evans cross check, Cooch dives. Okay, but it's a penalty.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a penalty, man. How many times does Kucherov? Here's the thing: if Kucherov got called, no, let me put it this way, even better. If a Montreal Canadiens player slipped on his little skates every single time he got hacked by Kucherov would be in the box 10 times in this series. He's been doing it the entire series. He's ran Dobes. He's been hitting guys behind the play, little taps. Like, that was so soft. That was so beyond soft from Kucherov. He goes into the boards. He whines about it. John Cooper whines about it. They get a beneficial call, and then he's fine. He's absolutely fine. The very next shift, he comes out. He makes some plays. Like, come on. That's beyond soft.
I'll be interested to see if there's any. Referees are not robots. We talk about the makeup calls all the time. I wonder if they're gonna look back at that phantom call, which again, like, of all the stuff there, like, we both think it was a clean hit. on Slav. I thought, the Matheson, obviously the Matheson high stick at the end was stupid. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that just sucked.
I thought a good amount of them was just the Canadians just being completely undisciplined. But just looking at the 3 games that have been played today, 51 and a half minutes of Colorado LA was played at 5-on-5. Just under 49 minutes of Boston Buffalo was played at 5-on-5. So 51, 49, 38 minutes in the Habs Lightning game was played at 5-on-5. It's really
over a period of special teams hockey.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Really pulling into focus how important special teams have been, which I think by and large has been a draw. Again, it's game 4. Game 4 is over. It's opportunity lost. Okay, and I want to get back to that later. But in the grand scheme of things, these teams have played each other to a dead heat, about as close as it can be after 4 games, which maybe shouldn't be a surprise.
They're tied in goals after 4 games. They've been 4 1-goal games, 3 of them in overtime, 1 shot apart in the series. The one thing that the Canadians really outdid, actually there were 2 things tonight. Face-offs, the Habs dominated the face-off dot tonight, almost 65%. And then in hits, nearly double the amount of hits for the Montreal Canadiens. The Habs were hitting like crazy. And that game plan worked. It seemed to slow down at one point. Kaiden Guhle was an absolute monster in this regard. Jack-Eye had 8 hits the other night, right? Sit down. Kaiden Guhle had 11 tonight.
Kaiden Guhle had a great game, 11 hits. He has that amazing stretch pass to Bolduc to open the scoring.
Yes.
We are seeing,
Phenomenal.
And again, I know we lose forest for the trees at this time of year. What we're seeing out of healthy Kaiden Guhle, knock on wood, is everything you want, right? I mean, he's playing 22, 23 minutes a night, tough minutes. He's being physical. He's riding the line of not being undisciplined, and he's just contributing a bit enough offensively to do stuff. And a lot of it is him just helping facilitate Lane Hutson right now and move the puck over to Lane on his offside. But I think he's been after Hudson. You can argue, because I think Matheson's now struggled 2 games in a row. You could, I think, easily make the argument Kaiden Guhle's been their second best defenseman in this series.
I don't think it's hard to make that argument at all. He had such a massive defensive play on the 5-on-3 kill in order for Danault to then clear it. Like a blocked shot, he broke up the play, Danault clears it, they kill that 5-on-3, and then like right after, he crushed Dominic James in open ice. Like, he's just doing everything you could possibly want. He's taking some wristers that I think he hopes are seeing eye wristers from the point, which I don't mind in a game where there weren't a ton of shots. I forget exactly what it was, but I think it was 18 shots for the Montreal Canadiens tonight. So I like that he's trying it. He was trying it late when the Canadiens were kind of passing the puck around the peripheral and not really able to do anything. So he tried to put one through a crowd on Vasilevsky, which is not a bad thing. You mentioned Vasilevsky's really good play before. He's been great. He has been. And tonight it took a beautiful seam pass to the slot where Caulfield just snuck in perfectly to get in that little nook and cranny in the front. Suzuki passed it to him, tap in. Like, that's what it took to beat Vasilevsky. And the other one went off of Bolduc's tummy. Like, he had to crash the net with one hand on his stick and the puck comes up off his belly. Like, that's how we had to beat Vasilevsky tonight. He was really, really good.
Okay, 2 more things I want to get into. We don't have to make this episode any longer than we really need it to be. One is Brandon Hagel. He has been the best player in the series. I don't think it's a discussion Lane Hutson's doing his damnness, but I think Brandon Hagel's been the best guy. He's always getting into that 3 to 6 feet in front of the net, and he's finishing at a remarkable rate right now. I don't know if the Habs have an answer to him right now, but without Brandon Hagel, this series is way, way different. I know Vasilevsky's been up there as probably one of the 3 best players along with Cirelli and Hagel, but yeah, he has the big goal there right at the end, and it's, I think the Canadiens have done a decent job on Nikita Kucherov. Truthfully, I know Kuch takes up so much oxygen because that's just how he plays. It's a flashy game. Hagel's a level below in terms of flashiness and truthfully stupidity.
Yeah, but he's just effective.
He is so you have to I know we don't want to do it, but you got to give credit where credit is due there.
Well, I think it would be dishonest not to. He clearly has been the best player in this series, and even if you don't believe that based on the eye test, he has had the most impact in this series, and that is non-negotiable. That is a fact. When you score 6 goals now, is it? I've lost track. 6 goals in 4 games is absolutely massive. And
more than half their goals.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, they have 11 in total.
I think so, yeah.
That's outrageous. That's outrageous. And here I thought after game one that we had Slav, who was going to be better than Hagel in this series.
So let's do quickly on Slav. What do you
Sure.
think of his game? Because that line was better. Again, I think Nick's really been bringing them up a little bit. We saw a bit more juice out of Caulfield, especially early on. They get a couple rushes in the first period. It looks like they're getting going. I think the power play is looking better. Slafkovsky's been a bit quiet. Again, we're just making another note of it, and he gets rocked. Like that's the moment you remember him most today for, is that hit that he takes in the second period.
Yeah.
What do you think of Slav and his game?
I thought his power plays were great, and that at 5-on-5 he was much less effective. He had that really nice toe drag in the first period when it was still 0-0, and he toe drags the puck into the slot, rips a wrister on net. It was one of the first saves that Vasilevsky had to make that was actually a little bit challenging. And then he was breaking up plays in the third period. I remember one where he, in the defensive zone, he broke up a play, knocked a pass out of the air, and they got the clear. I don't know. I thought he was good. He also settled down. There was a really choppy power play that the Canadiens had and actually this was right before the second goal. The Habs are very choppy in the offensive zone. They can't get like good control over it. And at one point, Slav just settles it down. He makes a clean board battle, settles the puck down, makes a crisp pass. And then we get that fire alarm chance on Vasilevsky because we had settled it down. The puck goes towards him. And then like right after, that's when Caulfield scores on the doorstep because of all that crazy pressure that had happened. By the way, in that play, Demidov fed Suzuki with such a nice fake shot pass. It was so convincing. Yeah. I was sure he shot, and I was looking for the puck after it had obviously either hit Vasilevsky or gone in. I didn't have dreamed that it would be on Suzuki's stick. He was good, not great. His power plays were good, I thought, and then at 5-on-5, he was not great. It is a shame that they're alternating good games and bad, the tandem of Suzuki, Caulfield, and then Slafkovsky.
Yeah. I just want to. So one thing on the power play that I think is really underrated, especially, it's the chemistry that this fivesome has played essentially all year together. I still don't like Nick Suzuki bringing the puck in the zone. By the way, like I still don't think he's great at it. He stops like 4 feet after he enters the zone, and he's like, "All right, time to pass it." I still hate it, but whatever. What I think is, and on the positive end, like what they're really, really good at, and this is credit to all of them, but mostly Hutson. He is such a release valve when the puck's on the half wall and they're just like, we don't know if we totally have puck possession yet. They barely have to look where Lane Hutson is. He is always in the right spot for them. There are so many quick, like, hey, we haven't totally settled the puck yet. Just like backhand it back to Lane, or just a quick like turn and go up to Lane. He is always in the right spot. It's remarkable how many times they do it when, and this is how like you keep puck possession. This is what this group does on the power play. They just, sometimes it is Suzuki just holding on to it like an animal, or Slafkovsky doing that. But I find more often than not, it's, I have the puck just long enough. I know it. I don't even have to look to see where Hutson is. I know exactly how many feet off of the wall he's going to be and where the puck has to be to hit a stick exactly. So like credit to them on that, because it keeps the puck in the zone so much more when they're able. And then you see the power play too try to do that with Mike Matheson. Now it's been Dobson all year, so like not putting blame on them, but they don't have that. When they ship it back to Matheson, it often exits the zone. So I just wanted to point that one little bit out on the power play, which again I think is going to get a lot of criticism because they went 1 for 6, 1 for 7. I still think it looked good overall.
I did too. They got a lot of their chances there. I think it's still, well, obviously it's many steps below what it was in game one when Slav just became an animal, but it's still a step or two below what it was for the good parts of the regular season. I'm still pining for that power play. That being said, that power play was playing against a different team every night, who that team maybe defended a completely different style of power play the very night before. And so it is harder after the series has progressed to score goals on the power play with a team who's read you well. And especially Vasilevsky is seeing where the pucks are coming from now. He's understanding the passing plays that the Canadiens are doing, because they're not exactly changing it up either. I thought there were a couple guys in different spots. Caulfield spent a bunch of time in the bumper position tonight, which was interesting. They were moving around, but they weren't moving around in a creative, let's create a an advantage, a numbers advantage here. Let's turn the 5-on-4 into a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1 or something like that. They weren't able to do that very much. And the best power plays are able to do that, or they're able to just fire a beautiful pass through the seam and get a one-timer off, which they did a couple times. A lot of the shots just happened to miss. Matheson had a 97-mile-per-hour blast that missed the net through traffic. Demidov shot the puck over the net 2 or 3 times. Suzuki near the end of the game ripped one above the net. Like, they were really trying. They didn't have the finish tonight. I thought that was also kind of a very obvious, pressure symptom of being at the Bell Center in Game 4 when now you're down and you thought you were up and they just couldn't finish. That was a little bit frustrating too. I do want to ask you, because we talked a lot about the lines, the 4 lines, and how they were not ideal. When one was working, the others weren't. I thought the 4 lines were relatively balanced tonight, and I wanted to see what you thought of, like, do you think Marty is still just sort of staying pat? He stayed pat when things were bad. This game was even better, I thought, more balanced. Did you see it the same way?
Yeah, like, to me, the worst players on the ice today were Alex Carrier, Jaden Struble, and kind of Mike Matheson, although, again, I'll give Matheson, and to Carrier to an extent, a bit more leeway because of the volume of which they're playing.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily see terrible Oliver Kapanen shifts. Like, he is, again, in terms of, like, looking back at, like, what we saw last year, Oliver Kapanen's playing like the rookie who played last year in the playoffs. Just kind of a nothing. And that's too bad because he had a really good stretch for about 55, 60 games. And he has just completely ran out of gas this last month and a half. And to lose him and his effectiveness and his productivity and his chemistry with Demidov, it's been frustrating, but it's also like clearly Marty has had an idea for what he wants from a identity perspective for the second line, the third line, the fourth line. Specifically the third and the fourth line. He wants one shutdown line and one line that's going to fly around and hit guys. And he's found it right now with Doc Texier and Bodzik. And he's obviously found the other with Anderson, Evans, and Phil Deneau.
And even those 3 are running around hitting guys. Evans had his most vicious game maybe ever tonight, hitting everything that moved. I thought he was great. I thought he was super high energy.
Yeah. This series is officially going to go 6. Wednesday night in Tampa, Friday in Montreal, and then we'll see if this is a split, we're going to 7. No one's surprised by this series being 2-2. It doesn't mean it's not disappointing to have had this opportunity up 2-0, and I think more accurately up 2-1 going into the third for a second year in a row and blowing Game 4. I've talked about this past couple weeks. Game 4 is the biggest. This is the first real test of a series. Until you get to elimination time, Game 4 is the biggest swing. And I'm sure if we look at it statistically, 2-1 versus 3-3 might have, 2-2 versus 3-1 might have the biggest discrepancy of like 1-1, 2-0.
Of a one goal swing.
Like a 1 game swing. And they didn't get it. And I find it disappointing. But and it's tough to say because people are going to be yelling, but I'll say it anyway. Like, if they can stay out of the box, that does a lot of good. And the other is, and you started to see this a bit coming in the second period, but it cooled off and then it picked up again. I find so much of this game 4, but also the series, we saw a lot in Game 2, has been about how successful the Habs are at reversing the puck out of their zone on their exits. So much of it, and I find Matheson was slow today. I found Carrier was slow today. There were some nice moves with Gooley and Hutson. They're figuring it out. So much I find is like, can they successfully, like when they can't go up the way they want to, when they flip it back the other way, can they do it effectively? Tampa is able to create a lot of turnovers. They have never been as aggressive as they were since Game 2, but you saw them picking it up a little bit here and there. So many of Tampa's chances, like they got a lot more high danger chances today. People loved throwing around the fact that it was 24-8 at 5-on-5 for the Canadiens through 3 games. That's balanced out a bit. I think I saw it was like 6-2 or 7-2 on high danger chances. Sorry, 9-2 Tampa Bay in this game. So many of those is because the Habs just turned the puck over. It wasn't a sustained zone time and they found someone in the bumper. No, it wasn't any of that. A lot of it, specifically in the first and second, was just guys turning the puck over in their own zone. You need to clean that up. You need to take 3 less penalties a game. You will win this series. It's that simple. They're going back to Tampa. The Suzuki matchup's going to get harder, even though Cooper has been religious with getting Cirelli on the line. You see it multiple times. He will start Cirelli at the faceoff dot at the beginning of the period. Marty counters with literally any other line. The moment the puck is either won by Tampa Bay or enough of a clearance has happened, Cirelli runs off the ice and they bring someone else on.
Yeah.
Because Cooper is religiously chasing that matchup. Now, on the fly, it's a little bit harder, but on the fly, Marty can try to control that as well. So I have a little bit more hope about that line at 5-on-5. It's a long series. It sucks that they lost this game. It really does. And I really hate how to me, it feels like a lot like last year when you would have hoped that they've seen growth. But I know it's not. I know I'm oversimplifying it, and it's
Right.
10:30 p.m. The game ended half an hour ago, and I'm still processing it all. Any final words, Brian, before we wrap, or any final thoughts, I should say, before we start wrapping this up?
I don't know how crucial this is or important this is, but I'll just throw a bone Matheson's way because part of his game is that risk taking. Like when Carrier makes a blunder in the defensive zone and it ends up with a high danger scoring chance for Tampa, that's especially bad because Carrier is not a risk taker. He's not supposed to be. Whereas Matheson, I'm thinking of the very end of the game, Matheson had a wonderful read, and with his read and his aggressiveness, he drew a penalty, the high stick from Kucherov, because he charged into the zone to block the exit. And that's something that Mike Matheson does all the time. He takes a risk. This time they got a massive reward. They got a power play at the end of the game. It didn't amount to anything, let's be clear. Obviously the Canadiens lost, but the onus to do that is what makes Matheson both great and frustrating at times. So I just wanted to highlight that because I agree with you. I don't think that he's had a phenomenal series, but this is the Mike Matheson we know and love. This is the risk taker, the guy who makes giveaways, but then also makes a ridiculously nice play at one point. This time that keep in was excellent in the power play draw.
Here. Can I just sorry, continue your thought. I have one final question for you, but continue your
go
thought.
for it. I'm more interested in your question.
It's an impossible question to answer, but I want you to give me a percentage chance because he started skating. Percentage chance we see Noah Dobson in Game 5.
Oh, Game 5?
2 days off. He is skating. We know it's a hand injury, so big whoop, he's skating. His legs always work.
Yeah, exactly. I think Game 6 at home is much more likely.
Okay, because that would be Friday. That'd be closer to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. We're seeing Matheson struggle these last 2 games. I'm starting to get a bit more worried. And the real question is how effective, if you think that hand the hand will get targeted. Right? It's duh.
Of course. Yeah.
But can he play 18 minutes? Don't put him on the penalty kill. Keep Hutson, Gooley, Matheson, Carrier on the penalty kill. That's fine. Put him on power play too, even though he probably can't rip the bomb from the point, which is imagine if that was working in this series, if you had Dobson's bomb this whole time. Anyways, I just wonder what the opportunity cost is Jaden Strubal's 9 minutes. So can you get better than Jaden Strubal's 9 minutes is my question.
Sure.
And it depends on how much he can hold the stick, I guess.
Yeah, as long as he's not a detriment to the Canadiens because he's having trouble with his hand, as long as he's not a detriment to himself in the future. If this is the type of thing that if he worsens it, it could be bad for the rest of his career. You don't risk it. You just wait till whatever it is heals. I don't know. I think there's risk and reward involved in this decision, but ultimately it's just going to be completely gauged by how he's feeling. If he feels ready to go, I don't think there's a world in which the trainers or Marty could stop him. If they deem it's feasible, man, we need him. We just need him so bad. That's the thing. And especially after Game 5, whichever way it goes, you would want him to put the foot on the throat on Tampa if you're up, and you would absolutely want him to play in an elimination game that you could be losing. Which I want to maybe, I don't know if you're ready to close relatively soon. I think you are. We could close on this idea if you want to, because the foot on the throat idea, when you have a lead, either in a series or in a game, in a crucial Game 4 where you have a lead, you have to stomp on the throat. You have to finish the kill. It's so crucial. It's the opposite of that is the reason why a generation's worth of Toronto Maple Leafs amazing core was wasted, because they could not put their foot on the throat of the opposition and win a series 4-1. They had to make it go to 7 and then they would lose it. So this is another I keep coming back to these lessons because ultimately, no matter what happens in this playoff run, this is a team that's only going to get better and is going to be here. Whether they win the cup this year or not, they're going to be here many, many times. So learn these lessons so that you're even more well-equipped next year. And this is one of them, is you have a lead like this, you have to protect it at all costs. You have to stay out of the box. You have to not make defensive blunders and let three guys miss a pass through the slot. Like, a tightening up has to happen here, and especially going into Game 5 against Tampa. If you're not tight in Game 5, you're suddenly down in the series and facing elimination.
Last year, they had 3 moments where they could have changed the series. Game 1 overtime, they take the lead in the second period in Game 2, and then they're leading 2-1 in Game 4. They lose all 3 of those games. This year, they've won 2 overtime games, so there are differences, right? I do want to stress that they are playing differently. But that killer instinct that you're talking about, they don't got it yet. It's not there yet, which, okay, that's fine. It's going to get there eventually. But this was the first real test of okay, you're up 2-0 at home. Close them out. Go up 3-1. They didn't do it. And that's fine. It's 2-2. You reset, best of 3. We always said they'd have to win 2 on the road. So Go out, get Game 5. You just want it to close at the Bell Center. That's really what they want to do. They didn't feel like closing out in Tampa. They have to come back to Montreal anyway after Game 5. Might as well come back to close out Game 6, right? That's how it goes.
I hate that shit. I hate that shit. Rationalize any way you want at home. I know you're saying this tongue-in-cheek, Jordan, but some people will absolutely rationalize things like that. No, they just wanted to win at home. No. People, actually, this is a funny corollary. People say that about the Tampa series that went to 5 in 2021 against the Montreal Canadiens. They say that they lost one so that they could win it at home. Sure. You win the Stanley Cup when you can win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Because if you give the other team an inch and they take a mile and win the series, you look like jabronis. There's no team that would ever do that.
By the way, Brian never answered my question. I'm going to have Noah Dobson at 30% chance of playing in Game 5. Brian, it's too late to answer that. You wimped out on it.
Yeah, I said it wasn't likely, so
Okay.
Game 6.
Anyways.
Game 6.
Game 6. No, Game 6 is Reinbacher. We've already talked about this. Anyways, listen, we'll call it there.
I'm thinking of a meme. Why not both?
Why not both? Well, there would have to be a more challenging call to bring both back in. But if it's just one, I'm just saying. They win that series in 2010, by the way, when they bring PK in. Just saying. Okay, that's enough. You know what? We've commiserated long enough. Tough loss, but I think with a night's sleep, some of us will be able to think about it more clearly. It's a best of 3. This was always going to be the tightest series in the first round. Big shocker it is. And we get to learn a bit more about this team over the next week and the next 2 games and maybe the next 3 games or more. So we'll wrap it there. You can follow us on social media at HabsLandPod. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave 5-star ratings and all that. And until Game 5, go Habs.